right, guys, this is the big one, anal glands. Go ahead, laugh. I giggled as I drew this. Yes, we are looking at a dog's back end. Anal glands are a big problem for a lot of dogs. Anal glands are tiny glands that actually sit on the inside of the dog's anus. These glands are actually present in a lot of wild dogs, so wolves and coyotes. In nature, they're actually used as a form of communication. So they will actually back up to plants, whatever, and kind of release these glands, and other wild dogs will smell that area, and it's a way of communicating. Now, whether or not our domesticated dogs do that, dogs love sniffing behinds and sniffing each other's poop, so maybe that's also a method of communication, but I think that's a conversation with your own personal dog to find out. So, expressing glands isn't always easy because there's that whole weird yuck factor. Do I really have to mess around back here? So I am going to teach you two different methods to attempt to express your dog's glands. Signs your dog's anal glands are bothering them would be them scooting their behind on the floor, sometimes doing a lot of licking back at their anus. If you have other pets, sometimes a different pet will be back there sniffing and licking frequently. Probably the least favorite discovery is the smell. So anal glands smell the way they sound. They don't smell good. The best description would be somebody left a fish in the trunk of your car on a summer day. It is fishy and stinky and gross smelling, and when you smell it, you don't forget. So a lot of people will call in and say, oh, I smell that terrible smell. We gotta get his anal glands expressed. So again, I want to try to teach you. Of all these techniques, this is probably going to be the most challenging, and it's not for everybody. I do recommend, if you're going to attempt this, have another family member with you. Most dogs are not keen on you fooling around with their back end, just on your own. So you are going to have to use some method of restraint. So when people will take their dogs to the groomer to express their glands. Typically, most groomers will only kind of do the outside method rather than having to go inside of the anus into the rectum to express them, like we do here at the vet. Some probably do, but many of them just use pressure. So again, in this picture, we're looking at this dog's anus, and these little purple areas are the anal glands. So they're at about, if the anus was a clock, at about 5 and 7 o'clock on their anus. So what you can do at home is just, take like a baby wipe or a washcloth, something that you're only going to use for that purpose. You can put it just kind of over top and use your thumb and your forefinger and just kind of place gentle pressure on each side. You may take the cloth away and notice like a brown or like a dark colored liquid that's very smelly. You may notice sometimes it's gritty, sometimes it's thicker. When we need to hear from you is if your pet or your dog is really painful when you do it, so they're yelping and running away and putting their tail down, or if you notice blood or pus, if it's red, bloody, or if it's like green, yellow, liquidy stuff, those are all reasons to call us. But brown, gritty, pasty, liquidy are all kind of different forms of normal for dogs. Here at the vet, and if you're feeling daring or you have a particularly relaxed dog, is that you actually insert your finger gently inside of their anus, and I usually use my thumb to kind of squeeze or milk the gland, and usually it comes out of their anus, and I kind of have to put my finger one way and do a little bit of pressure, and then turn my finger the other way and do a little bit of pressure. You're definitely going to want rubber gloves. I don't recommend doing this barehanded, and you definitely need lubrication. Whether you have some water-based lube or you have a little Vaseline, those are appropriate for your dog. Please don't use other lotions or other weird things that could cause irritation, but please use ample lube. Your dog will be grateful and it'll be easier for you to use. And again, anticipate that it's going to be smelly and dirty. So you want to have extra baby wipes or a warm, wet paper towel to do some cleaning. It is normal afterwards if they're kind of doing a little bit of scooting or they're sniffing or licking back there, for, the first hour or two after you do it. But if they're doing that continuously, that's a reason to call us. So let's see if Nash will agree to this and I can show you what to do at home. So here we are at the business end of Nash. I'm just going to lift his tail just to kind of show you, what to expect. So he's a fuzzy guy. So we are looking at his anus. So this is probably what your dog's behind looks like too. All anuses are a little different like snowflakes, so don't be alarmed if your dog's is a little bit bigger, a little bit pinker. Of course, if you notice any, again, blood, cuts, crusties, masses, please call us. So you can see I'm wearing rubber gloves. Again, please wear some gloves. I know all the protective, measures are scarce right now. So I only recommend doing this if your dog truly does have anal gland issues. Don't just do this as a fun project. Save the rubber gloves for the medical workers. But if you have a pair, please use it. I'm just using some, generic petroleum jelly. Again, you can use Vaseline, water-based lubricant, and I got a lot on there. Like I said, you can never have too much lubricant, so I am, actually before I do this, let me get rid of that. First, I want to show you the outside technique that the groomers use and most people might prefer. So again, if we look at his little anus here, his anal glands should be sitting right here and right here. So I'm going to start by taking a baby wipe, just putting it over his anus, and I am just putting gentle pressure with my thumb at around 5 o'clock. And then I'm going to put gentle pressure around 7 o'clock, just gentle. And this may or may not express his glands. It's okay, buddy. And actually, we did get just a tiny bit, so I know this doesn't look very exciting, but you can see that little bit of brown stuff on the baby wipe. That's a little bit of anal gland material. So now I will show you, and a lot of times when you do it with that technique, you don't get a whole lot out, but if you have a dog that has notoriously very full anal glands, that might be enough for you. So this poor fella, I am gonna go ahead and do it the technique that we do. So again, lots of lube on your finger. And I'm gonna start by just putting just gentle, steady pressure into the anus. I am not jabbing my finger in. I am not doing anything that's violent, anything that, I guess would be uncomfortable to you if you were experiencing this. And now my finger is only, maybe an inch, less than an inch in. And so when I kind of put my finger towards that 5 o'clock mark, I can actually feel what feels like a soft, almost grape-sized lump. And then I'm gonna use my thumb and put a little bit of pressure on that gland. Now, what I typically do, and I'm doing this just so you can see it, I usually hold like a baby wipe or a paper towel up underneath my fingers. So I am just doing gentle pressure. And again, a lot of dogs don't care for this. That's why he's wiggling. It feels weird. It's not necessarily painful, but I just expressed his right gland. Again, I just use a very gentle milking sort of technique. And then I kind of awkwardly hold my finger this way. And you can actually see some of the anal gland material on his fur right here. This is gross, but that way you know exactly what to expect. I'm gonna do the same thing on this other side. And again, I easily expressed his, so now I'm gonna take my fingers out. It's okay, buddy, it's okay. And you can see that this is a little bit messy. So there's some yucky stuff on the floor. There's lots of yucky stuff on my hand. So do this in the garage, do this in the kitchen where you can easily clean up. I'm gonna try to take my glove off here and not put his tail down so we don't wreck his beautiful, beautiful tail. And I'm just using a baby wipe just to kind of gently get all this yucky stuff out of his hair. I'm just gently wiping, and you wanna wipe his little behind. Now here at the office, we have what we call booty spray. So we try to send animals home smelling a little nicer, but probably don't have any booty spray at home. Please don't use perfumes, things like that. Just use, like I said, a little bit of soap and water or a baby wipe. And I am gonna clean up this mess on the floor because nobody wants that surprise. All right, so there we go. So, you know, not painful, but just probably feels awkward or feels uncomfortable. And kind of his reaction is exactly what I would expect for any dog at home. I'm gonna let him relax. You know, so, you know, use your discretion. If your pet is not really into that or is showing a lot of fear or anxiety when you're doing it, please just stop. And if, like I said, if they don't typically show signs, don't do this at home. But if they have really full ones, just doing that outward pressure may be enough. So good luck, guys.